think it'd mean a lot to the team, the fans, the city. I think it'd be great. We know that Green Bay's playing for a lot at stake. They're playing for a playoff spot right now, so I just think with kind of all that on the table, I think it'd be a great feeling to end the season off with a win in Lambeau. It'll be a fun environment to walk into. Their home field. I know their fans gonna be loud because there's not much to do in Green Bay except watch football. But it's gonna be a great environment for us to play in, and hopefully we have a great game and get the dub on Sunday.
Oh, he knows there's a lot to play for in Green Bay, especially when apparently there's nothing else to do except to watch football. Nice line. So the Bears have been eliminated. That's obviously not the whole story, though. What would a Week 18 win over the Packers mean, Peter, for the future of the Justin Fields experience?
Yeah, I can't tell you straight up what it means as far as win-loss. I'll tell you the different scenarios, though, and what's at stake here. So Justin Fields is going into another offseason. It'll be his third offseason. At some point, the Bears need to commit to him by picking up his fifth-year option or giving him what most quarterbacks who are deemed franchise quarterbacks after their third year, a massive, massive franchise quarterback contract. We're talking $40 million a year, $200 million deal, similar to what Jalen Hurts got last year, similar to what we see Mahomes, Kyler Murray, and the rest get. The alternative is they have the Carolina pick. They have the number 1 selection overall already. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, you name all these different guys who are going to be in the draft, and it's Jalen Daniels, all these guys. They can pay them rookie contract stuff, which is less than $10 million a year for at least 4 to 5 years, plus the franchise tag, if they decide to just scrap the Justin Fields experience altogether and then go quarterback at the top. Financially, that might be the better decision, but in the last few weeks, Justin Fields has played some of his best football of his career. Meaning, do you definitely move on from door number 1 just as you've been nurturing and been putting all this time and investment in getting him to where he is right now, to move on to door number 2, which is a complete unknown, and you'd have to start from scratch all over again. It's a fascinating decision, and it trickles up the box because you have then, is Matt Eberflus the head coach next year? We don't know 100%. Is Luke Getsy the offensive coordinator who's been working with Fields on this offense? We don't know. Is Ryan Poles there? We think, we know. There are so many questions, and yet, if you win in Lambeau, in the elements, you get a very, very big statement on national TV with Nance and Romo on the call and with your fan base now being all in your corner and saying, how do we move on from this guy? Now, economically speaking, it's probably the wiser decision to just say, well, we gave him 4 years. Let's get the cheaper quarterback. And every 4 years, let's keep on. Unless Fields is 100% that guy and you think you could win a Super Bowl with him and you view him like that franchise quarterback. But there are so many different options they can do. They could trade the pick. They can draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and give him another wide receiver to go with DJ Moore. I think this is so fascinating, and I honestly think this performance is going to play a big role in, at very least, the public opinion of Justin Fields. If he can go do what Goff did last year, knock the Packers out of the playoffs in Lambeau, there's so much momentum towards next season, and do you really want to pull the plug on that? That's a decision that they have to make in the front office.
It's so interesting because I don't know who said it, but they called it, I think you said it, Kyle, the confetti test. If you close your eyes. Daniel Jeremiah says that. You close your eyes, the confetti test. Can you picture Justin Fields standing in the middle of it, bringing a Super Bowl back to the city of Chicago? And from a player's perspective, in a situation like this, there's so much that's out of your hands that you don't decide, that you don't dictate. And even talking to Justin Fields last week, that was his biggest thing, was I have no idea what they're going to do upstairs. And that's what he continued to say. We don't make that decision for himself and so many other guys on this football team. But he did say, you know what? I'm going into this season, we're going to finish on, and if anything, I want to go out with a bang. And that's the only thing we can do no matter what we're doing. I've been on Good Morning Football. If I'm gone tomorrow, I can at least say, people can be like, ooh, that boy wore some outfits out there on this.
Tape together.
So you want to do something. I look at for Justin Fields, you're talking about going into Lambeau in the last game of the season. You can spoil their postseason hopes, but then also for the Chicago Bears and their franchise, they haven't won a game at Lambeau since 2015 when Jay Cutler was the quarterback. So for Justin Fields, if this is your last game in a Bears uniform, this was back in 2015 when Brett Favre was being honored and his name was going up in the stadium at Lambeau Field. Pouring rain, Thanksgiving Day, and the Bears come out victorious. For Justin Fields, let it be, hey, remember that Fields kid? He was here for a few years. Some moments up and down, but do you remember that game at Lambeau, his last game, the way he played in that one, how he led Chicago to a victory. And remember, the Packers didn't even go to the playoffs. That was the second year straight, and we were the ones to do it. As a Bears fan, hey, Justin Fields, this is your last game. Go out with a bang, exactly how you said it.
I can't tell you how big this game is. I think it's everything for a couple of reasons. One, you have to understand the Bears organization, they believe that their bedrock of their company is beating the Packers. That's just what they stand upon. The McCaskey family is very passionate about it. There's all sorts of rumors that they don't allow green and gold things in the facility, and like they're very specific about it. That whole like Aaron Rodgers, I own you, I think that's embarrassing. I think it's a shame. Like I think they absolutely hate it. If Justin Fields goes to Lambeau at the end of this season, and especially this last 6 weeks, and wins and beats their up-and-coming quarterback in front of their crowd and ends it, I think it's a wrap. I think he's going to be extended. I think he will be their quarterback for a long time. If they don't, I think it's a wrap.
Really? You think
I think it's that big.
simple?
My point, Peter, is I don't think they made up their mind.
Yeah.
I think they're saying we're going to watch as much football as possible, and that's the key part. Last week was very dramatic, and you're winning in the snow, and it's holiday time, and we're chanting Fields. That's all BS, guys. Don't base it on that. That's fan sentimentality, which I respect. Base it on football and base it on finances. So the fact that the Bears fans chanted his name did not mean that they're going to bring him back, and nor should it mean that. If you go and beat the Packers in a football game, that's what should be to bring them back. Even personally, as a kid who grew up a Bears fan and who talks football all day, I don't have a take yet. I don't. People, should they bring him back? I don't know.
When you think of Caleb Williams in a Bears jersey,
Tough.
does that get you more excited?
Well,
than
that's the
Justin
problem,
Fields?
because the Bears fan base, and never mind the fan base, the Bears organization is haunted by misses. Patrick Mahomes could be a Bear this weekend as he goes after the playoffs. They didn't have him. There's other misses I could name. So when you see that, May and Nix and Will, they could pass on all of them to draft an offensive lineman and a wide receiver and trade the pick. It's really scary. My bottom line is, I don't think it's decided yet. I personally am not decided yet as a fan what I would like to see them do. But if he goes and beats the Packers in what I feel like is a career playoff game for him, I think he's a Bear for a long, long time.
The life experience of watching Justin Fields go through college, go through the draft process, and his 3 years in Chicago has been so fascinating because his personality and his play has flashed at times, and sometimes in the most opportunistic moments, to be like, well, shoot, now I'm sold on him again. Like, he gets right, he holds his hand to the fire. He puts his back up against the wall, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, maybe I do see it. Kyle, how do you feel about these moments where we see some fight and some fire and fury in Justin Fields? For example, him having a little dig, a little verbal elbow at Green Bay shows a personality side that you're saying, we don't see this a lot from him. What do you make of that?
2 moments from Fields this year. That, and then early on, where he says, I'm being overcoached, I got too many voices in my head, which was honest. I love it. Listen, Justin Fields is never going to be a vaudeville act. He's never going to be Gardner Minshew, and I love that. As a franchise quarterback, that's what you want. You want a Flacco type who is just solid, strong. He's not doing this. I don't see Justin Fields starting his own podcast. I don't see any of that. It's like, it's all football. He shuts the hell up. He's gotten his ass kicked for 3 years behind that offensive line.
Yeah.
Never complains about it. There's a lot to like. What's not to like is that there's a ton of losing, a ton. I just can't say how big enough this game is.
I also think the head coach has a lot at stake. I'm not saying I know what the McCaskies are doing. I honestly don't. Even as your NFL insider at this seat sometimes, I would. But if Eberflus wins the final 2 games of the season and they come in and they just beat the Packers, it's really hard to say, yeah, but it just wasn't enough. I think this is big for Eberflus and that coaching staff, too.
And for Ryan Poles, just the future and the tenor of the draft pick decision as well. Like, it's all wrapped up in the same conversation. It's huge. Kyle just shakes his head every time we talk about the Bears and how sexy and enticing the next 3 months.
Yeah, and I'm not SMHing. I'm marveling at how rich the story is.
Yes.
This is the story of the offseason, what they do with that pick, what they do with that quarterback, and it becomes way more interesting if they beat the Packers this weekend.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, the Bears are...
Yep.
It's a huge game, huge game. Huge game for Green Bay.